Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be demonstrating for you how to create a one length haircut. Okay, so because there's quite a lot of hair and it's very long, I'm going to section this off into 4. So you can also do it into 2 by starting off into the very middle, taking it all the way down. But the only thing is that I'm going to end up having to work with more hair. So just because there is quite a bit, I'm going to section off into the middle. I'm going to take this into the very nape of the neck. Just going to turn it around so you can see. And I'm going to take this across. Yeah, so I'm going to work just below the crown and I'm going to come over to the top of the ear. Going to make sure this is nice and smooth so that there's no tangles running through that. I'm going to clip this up out of the way. So we need to make sure that the hair is kept out of our client's face. We don't want that hanging forward. So obviously this is a blockhead. We still want to imagine it's like a client. So we can do one side and then again take it to the other. One thing to notice is when you're doing your sections, to keep them nice and clean, you want to be holding your finger sort of around this part. So this will help when you're taking your section. And if you notice on this comb there's a little bit missing, it's not that the actual, it's not faulty, that's how the comb is made, so it's to help with your section patterns. So again on the other side, so get a nice clean straight section across. Almost think of it like you're drawing a nice straight line, and that again is going to come to the back of the ear. And then we're going to clip that out of the way. So I'm going to comb the hair down. When I'm taking my section, I can either take my section straight across like this into a square type section. Just going to bring that over. So I can either do it like this, is it a square? A triangular section works from a shorter point at the back of the head, working towards a longer section at the front. If I wanted a rounder shape, take this up more, and then my outline shape will be like this. But for the sake of today, we want this to be a square shape outline, my one length. So if your guest has hair which is very thick, you're going to end up having to take your section smaller. So, and vice versa, whereas if your hair's got much finer texture and the density isn't so much, you can afford to take your sections a little bit thicker. So you'll need to sort of judge that yourself. Okay, so now I've taken my first section across here. I'm ready to start cutting. So I can either cut it 2 ways. I can either bring the head slightly forward and take my hair from my comb and bring this down and then cut this straight across. However, if I want to get a more of a natural fall, I'm going to come through and I'm just going to cut it through the comb. What you need to ensure here is when you're creating a one length, you don't want to elevate the hair. So you want 0 degrees of elevation. So if I start bringing it into my finger, or if I start lifting the hair out, I'm going to start to graduate the hair, which is not what we want to achieve, because we want to have this with a perfect straight line. So we don't want to elevate the hair at all. So obviously this hair is very long, so if this was a guest of mine in the salon, I'd be asking them to stand up whilst I cut the length, or it may be that you sit on a cutting stool so you save your back. So I've had to move my body position around just so you can see from the camera. However, it's very important when I'm working as the stylist that my back is directly to this, so my body position is really, really important. If I stand off to one side, then I'm going to not be cutting the hair straight. So I've moved myself around today just so you can see on the camera But yes, we would bring this straight down and then we would cut this across. So down, and I bring that straight across. So now I've taken my first section, I'm going to use this as a guide to work up the head. So I'm going to take some of the hair down. So if I was to take a very wide, thick section and bring this down, I probably wouldn't be able to see my guide very clearly. So as an example, if I was to bring this down across here, if I bring the hair this way, you can slightly see my previous section, but it's not very clear. So we wouldn't cut it, we're not going to guess it. So whereas if I take much less hair and bring this down, it's now, if I bring that quite taut, move this around. So if I now bring this down, you can see that my cutting line is much clearer from where I need to be cutting. So taking that section there, same on the other side. If you notice that the hair has already started to dry a little bit, so I need to make sure this is wet down. The reason being is if I cut hair, some dry and some wet, the tension won't be even. So it's very important that I can make sure that the hair is the same dampness throughout the whole cut. So I've got that here, bringing my section down, finding where I cut the hair before, and then I'm going to cut this across. So again, you'd just be coming straight this way across. So I'm now going to continue working up the head. And then when I get to the sides, I'm going to need to ensure I'm incorporating them in as well. So I'm coming across. Keeping that line coming all the way to the front. So as I mentioned before, if I wanted this be a different type of shape, so if I wanted this to come longer into the front, this is what my client wanted, I could be angling my sections into a more triangular type of shape. So I could be doing it more that way down. So I'd follow it. But for today we're doing this as a square. So you can see my sections here. I'm going to use that as my guide to bring down. I can see my previous section along here. I'm just going to tilt my scissors slightly just so you can see. So we cut to the comb and then we're cutting that across. Again, down. Okay, so once I've cross-checked that to the other side, I'm going to continue working up the head. So I'm also going to show you how to use a club cutting technique with your fingers. This will be particularly useful so I can demonstrate better on the camera for you. So, as before, hair is going straight down, but this time the comb goes in front of my fingers, like this. I bring it to where I want it to cut, so I can see really clearly my guide here. I'm going to bring this straight across. I'm going to stop when I get to about this section, because if I go any further to try and cut this little piece here, I'm going to end up cutting myself. So I bring that down, and again I'm going to work this across. And continue. So my body position would actually be in front of the camera now. But whereas I've moved my body right the way around just to show you. But you'll always need to ensure that you're working parallel to your section when you're cutting your one length. If I were to lift the hair and cut, I'd get unwanted graduation and not a very clean line. So I have to make sure that I've got 0 degrees of elevation. So I'm going to repeat the same into the back. So straight down. So this is a club cutting technique. And I'm going to bring this straight across. So you can see my guide from before. Never ever cut into your previous guide. So if you were to notice you've got any unwanted graduation, you would clean that up after. Or if you notice that it's uneven, you're going to need to go back to your previous sections. So we're only cutting to our previous line. So now I'm going to come through and check for balance. They're the same. Feels about right. Visual checks and cross-checking throughout my haircut to make sure that's balanced and I don't have any unwanted bits of graduation. But what we will do, we're going to dry this into place and then we'll check for any graduation after. Okay, so I'm now going to dry this into place. I'm going to do a wrap drying technique today. So that's going to be for a natural fall, so it's going to not create any lift. It's just going to let the hair sit where it naturally wants to, so I can check over my length. Okay, so now I've finished my blow dry after my cut. I'm going to go through and check this over, and I just want to ensure I don't have any unwanted pieces of graduation. So I'm just going to bring the head up just so I can check that. When I'm checking this, I want to make sure that I'm bending my legs and not my back. I'm just making sure that there's no little bits that aren't quite sitting how I want them to. So again, bringing that down. Just removing any odd pieces of hair if they need it. So it's just cleaning up that outline shape and just refining that. And then same on the other side. And here's my end result. So I'm really happy with this. As I say, we went through the back using club cutting technique. It was all cut freehand. A few of the sections I did with using my fingers just so I could sort of demonstrate to you the look. Here we go. Here's my one length. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time.